I want to talk about how to cut the billionaires behind the coup, how to downsize those billionaires that are behind this current coup that's occurring in America. A peaceful coup, it would seem, but far from that reality. Americans these days don't much like billionaires. Our ultra rich Americans overwhelmingly believe aren't paying enough in taxes. Polling earlier this month found that nearly 3/4 of the nation's likeliest voters, 74%, feel billionaires are paying too little at tax time. Just how concerned about billion-dollar fortunes have Americans become? Nearly half of us overall, Harris poll found last summer, would like to see a limit on wealth accumulation. Among Gen Zers, that support for limits on billionaires' fortunes runs all the way up to 65%. Billionaires, some 58% of Americans agreed in the same Harris poll, are becoming more like dictators. The share of Americans equating billionaires with dictators, given Elon Musk's current domination or dominant role in the new Trump White House, is most likely running even higher. The best way to counter our ongoing billionaire coup, we might want to look east for some answers in run-up to Germany's February 23rd parliamentary elections that nation's left party Die Link has proposed, a detailed 5-step set of initiatives designed to cut the super rich down to democratic size. Before I read what their 5 points are, I want to let you know, no billionaire, and I repeat, no billionaire has earned it. And cutting billionaires down to size has nothing to do with innovation. Because wherever they decide to sabotage, we the people can clean up any sabotage that they attempt to do with our funding. Instead of giving them a place to accumulate our dollars, we can spend those dollars to the real people that innovate. There are real innovators and they're not billionaires. But continuing, we believe the Dialink co-chair Van Aken notes simply in his intro to his party plan that there should not be any billionaires. And I agree. There should not be any billionaires because the monies billionaires have is theft. I know even some of my progressive brothers and sisters disagree with me. And that is because of the indoctrinative state that we are in. But no, the vast amount of any billionaire's wealth is legal theft. And notice I said legal because it falls under the domain of capitalism, but it is legal theft. All right, continuing. But Van Aken and Dialink understand quite well that no government can suddenly snap its fingers and make billionaires disappear. The party has instead melded ideas from all around the world into a coherent and common sense package. The Dialink plan step 1, restoring a wealth tax, meaning if you whatever wealth you accumulate, it should be taxed. In other words, don't keep it in stocks and claim you can only pay taxes on it when you get capital gains and realize the income. Germany has been without one since the nation's top court nixed the wealth tax in effect back in 1995. The proposed new version would revolve around an annual levy at 1% on wealth over 1 million euros, the equivalent of about 1.303 million, and a rising up to 12% on wealth concentrations above a billion euros. On top of that would come a special one-time wealth tax, also on a graduated scale, that would only impact Germans sitting on fortunes worth more than 2 million euros. The levy's top rate would hit 30% for awesomely affluent Germans in the proposal's highest wealth bracket. Germany's super rich would see under the Dialink plan a higher inheritance tax on wealth they leave behind. And I believe inheritance taxes should be ridiculously high because, again, you cannot pass, when just passing wealth mean giving monies to people who haven't earned anything. I understand, for family's sake and history's sake, some of that. But again, you can't pass $1 billion down, but we'll go into that at another time. The overall goal of Dialink tax plan, a halving of the wealth of Germany's wealthiest over the next decade. 3 other German parties on the left side of the German politics are also backing tax hikes on the wealthy, but at least not nearly as significant as Dialink. Earlier, before I spoke about this article, I gave you the mathematical reason why we are in an unsustainable condition. If the wealth of those who have capital grow at 7 to 20% or more, and the wealth of the middle class and the working class grows at less than 3%, that means that upper class is cleaning your clock while you are the working class, while you are the ones working. They are making money on the spoils you created. We have to put into our psyche that having capital does not authorize you to be wealthy, because you have capital doesn't authorize you to enslave the rest. And that is what it is, indentured servitude of the rest. Elon Musk's favorite German party, meanwhile, sees nothing wrong in boosting the fortunes of Germany's most fortunate. That is just like what we're doing here in America, constantly giving tax cuts to people who then loan us the money for the deficits created by the tax cuts. Think about it, people. When Tag called in earlier and said, we have to learn when they are ripping us off. We have to learn when they are hoodwinking us. He is absolutely right. We have to understand that it is rigged. It's the reason I wrote the book, How to Make America Utopia. How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. Because again, we have been living in a rigged economy from the inception of this country. First of all, in the voting methodology of this country, at first, only those who owned land could vote. So it was never really a democracy. As we democratize, the wealthy continue to create instruments to keep us down. And yes, it created a robust middle class under Roosevelt. And do remember at that point, taking the tax rate up for graduated tax rate, or rather a marginal tax rate for the highest amount of your income to 90%, which is where we need to get back. To put it bluntly, we need to go beyond 90% on certain types of income. Again, these people didn't do the work to make the money. These people didn't innovate. A lot of you are going to say, well, if we tax them like this, what's going to happen is they're going to put their money elsewhere. Where are they going to go? The innovative mindset is here. The innovative mindset is in the working class around the world. That's where the innovative mindset is at. The innovative mindset doesn't come from the billionaires. I want you to hear me clearly. If it were the billionaires who were creating innovation, I would understand the fear of taking away the money they legally stole. I would understand the fear. But we are so convinced, we are so lied to. You know, the scientists that are working for Exxon and Mobil, the scientists that are working for IBM and all these guys, guess what they are, people? Salaried employees. The innovation, the creation that they come up with, it comes from salaried employees, not billionaires. It comes from salaried employments, the inventions, the patents, all the things that make our society go forward comes from salaried individuals, not billionaires, not the wealthy that sits down at their pool drinking their tea. So anybody who tells you taxing the billions of money that was legally stolen would somehow create a deficit in innovation, they're lying to you. In fact, most innovation occurs at universities and colleges. And when these innovations seem to be something that can be marketed, then comes the corporations and they bribe and they put a building in some professor's name, or all of that kind of stuff occurs then. Remember, corporations by design don't take a whole lot of risks. They take calculated risks that ultimately brings them money. We have to learn these things, my brothers and sisters. We have got to understand that the economy is rigged, that we have been snowed decade after decade from the inception of the country. The economic system was designed to make most people indentured servants and a few at the top. And the only reason that could be maintained is we had to create all the isms that put the working class against each other: racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia. All these things are designed to have us fighting each other so that we don't see the culprit, so that we don't see those who are ripping us off, so that we don't understand the reality of what's going on. And then, of course, you have those with the mindset that, as opposed to say, wow, I just didn't get it, but I get it now. They continue to carry the water for the same people that are ripping them off dry. Folks, wake up, be woke. That is why they don't want critical thinking. That is why they don't want you to be woke. That is why they don't want you to be able to read the books. That's why all these things, all these things in history, they don't want Americans to know. Because if Americans look back and said, did we really do that? Are we really doing that? Most Americans are good people. Most Americans are honorable people. Most Americans have a heart and empathy, but the system has been teaching them otherwise. Let's not fall for it, people. We are at an impasse. We're at a flex point. We're at a turning point. And this is where it's going to take you, all of us, working to get this system right, because we're going into waters we haven't been. We're going into an area that could reach near irreversibility. But it depends on you using your mind, your common sense, to understand what's being done to you and what's being done in your name.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.